Hey, it's Mike here, and today, don't come for renewable energy without the receipts. Tommy Norris of the TV show Landman. Yes, I'm responding to a fictional character and their viral video about how windmills aren't really that good for the planet and oil and gas is actually good, and how great fossil fuels are, etc.
Our whole lives depend on it.
And the reason I'm responding is because the comment sections have taken this message hook, line, and sinker, fully believing it, which had commenters in a now removed TikTok clip spamming the comment, "Drill, baby, drill," in 2024. Almost 2025. And while the TikTok was removed because of copyright infringement, I'm sure, we still have the YouTube comments which echo the same sentiment of truest thing ever said on TV, and probably the most sincere discussion about the green scam I've seen. In the video, Billy Bob Thornton's character goes after everything renewable or electric, talking about how we'd have issues if we just went all electric, how everything is made out of petroleum products, and how these wind turbines suck. And he actually makes a concrete statement, no pun intended, about the really energy payback time of windmills. Here he is.
Do you have any idea how much diesel they have to burn to mix that much concrete or make that steel and haul this out here and put it together with a 450-foot crane? You want to guess how much oil it takes to lubricate that thing or winterize it?
The thing is, this question has been studied quite a bit for every major form of energy production. We've analyzed all of the energy that goes into making it, and then comparing that to the amount of energy that it produces per year over its lifetime, etc.
This 20-year lifespan, it won't offset the carbon footprint of making it.
And here's the thing, these windmills produce a lot of energy, and we're going to go into exactly how much in a little bit, but let's just look at the actual life cycle issue. From the study on the topic, quote, previous studies have indicated that the energy embodied in a wind turbine may equate to less than 5% of the energy generated during their service life. So yeah, we're talking about 5%, really creating 20 times as much energy as it took to make. So if Billy Bob Norris or whatever here was scientifically accurate, he'd probably say something more along the lines of, see this here wind turbine, it produces 20 times as much energy as it took to make. The end. This has been an episode of Eco Landman. And more specifically, based off its lifetime, the study found from this chart that the amount of energy that wind turbines produce pays for itself within 1 year. Now, so if you have a 20-year service for that wind turbine, we're talking 20 times. If you can get it up to 30 years, we're talking 30 times. And maybe you need to replace some blades. Well, wind turbine blades are only about 12% of the embodied energy of the wind turbine, so really not a heavy cost. So yeah, Bobby Lee, Tommy, Jack Norris is wrong by potentially a factor of 30.
And don't get me started on solar panels.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna get him started on solar here because, you know, he's also full of crap to say that they're not worth it, and probably to say that they also don't produce as much energy as they require. And again, we're talking about energy payback, which in the past could have been 6 to 8 years. Yeah, that's notable out of a 20-year, maybe 25-year lifespan, but everything has gotten way more efficient. A lot of these solar panel factories are now powered by solar, and we've seen like a 75% drop potentially in the energy production cost of these, which is why multiple studies are now showing that it's maybe a year or year and a half till payback. In fact, if you put a cadmium tellurium solar panel down in Arizona, for example, it might pay itself back in 5 months. And he goes on about how everything in society is made out of plastic and petroleum. We really just need it.
Our whole lives depend on it. And hell, it's in everything. That road we came in on, the wheels on every car ever made, including yours, it's in tennis rackets and lipstick and refrigerators and antihistamines, pretty much anything plastic.
This argument really is, a lot of what we have currently is made out of petroleum, therefore it should always be made out of petroleum. I don't think that this stands. And even in terms of plastic, if we require plastic in certain things, we can use an alternative to that. We have these eco-plastics. I mean, here's a picture of a cellulose-based plastic for a salad container. And from Car and Driver, Goodyear has made a tire that is made from 90% sustainable materials. And another one worth mentioning in terms of industry and materials, yeah, concrete is a huge emitter, but we've been working on that, and from MIT, they have a new process where they electrochemically make cement instead of heating up to 2,600 degrees Fahrenheit, and that can potentially save a ton of carbon emissions. Obviously, we don't have to use asphalt. I mean, look back to the Romans. They weren't using asphalt and their roads lasted way longer than asphalt, which really is trash and tends to disintegrate, especially in the Midwest here. So I think it's fair to say that virtually every product that we have that is made of petroleum can be replaced with an alternative, and if it can't, oftentimes it can be recycled plastic, which we could do if we actually invested in. So I think we need to bring Landman back here and shift the script for Tommy Norris. Virtually all of your products, from tennis rackets to G-strings and beyond, could be made using non-petroleum based alternative sustainable products. Landman out. And here's the thing, even if we end up having to keep some petroleum-based products, maybe some heart valves, maybe some bushings or something, it's the case that we would get our petroleum-based products so far down that they wouldn't have an effect on climate change. They wouldn't be creating massive amounts of toxins in the environment. Anyway, he mentions Exxon and why they're not using windmills everywhere.
And believe me, if Exxon thought them things right there were the future, they'd be putting them all over the place.
It's really ironic that this show is based in Texas, because that's where they really are putting windmills everywhere compared to all the other states, at least. Yeah, from this 2020 chart, wind makes more energy for Texas than coal does. It's also a state that is leading the way in new renewable energy. And in the first quarter of 2023, Texas installed over 40,000 megawatts of new wind energy. And also, just logistically, wind turbines need to be in places where there's wind. We don't just put them everywhere. And I feel like the use of Exxon had to be on purpose here, because they are the one fossil fuel company that is particularly not investing in renewable energy. No, they're just lowering the carbon emissions of their fossil fuels, they say. Shell and BP, for example, are investing in renewables. And also, even more ironically about Exxon, as if they would just do the right thing, is that 40 years ago, closer to 50, they wrote a paper showing that their products emit CO2, which could be a risk for climate change in the future. It then hid that paper from the public and went on a campaign to suppress that information for decades, oftentimes lobbying millions of dollars per year to the government, which of course perpetuates its industry. Exxon wants to keep making profit off of the products that it currently sells, because they're heavily subsidized. They have the revolving door of oil executives into the government, etc. It's not just what's the best thing to do, is it put up windmills or not, but it looks like we are doing the best thing, because in 2024, 96% of new power plants, which includes batteries, etc., added in the US were not fossil fuels, up from 85% in 2023. Then he talks about just general electrification and how the grid isn't ready for it, and you're just going to be locked into fossil fuels forever.
And never mind the fact that if the whole world decided to go electric tomorrow, we don't have the transmission lines to get the electricity to the cities. It'd take 30 years if we started tomorrow.
But I think it's probably best to hear from people that actually run the grid from this GovTech article. Quote, "The nation's electric grid is ready for electric-powered cars," says utility officials, dispelling an oft-heard talking point questioning the soundness of an electrical delivery system burdened by new loads and demands. It covers the points of various people who are high up in utility companies and says that, yeah, we can add the capacity quite easily, and additionally, quote, "EVs are flexible load, and because they are flexible load, they have the ability to improve grid resilience," says Director of Electrification at Southern California Edison. And this idea of it's going to take a while to transition, so we might as well not do it, is just so logically flawed. And I don't like to just pull out slavery arguments all the time. Not equating here, just comparing. But yeah, it was an argument made to keep slavery. It's officially really the economic argument. UShistory.org, quote, "Defenders of slavery argued that the sudden end to the slave economy would have had a profound and killing economic impact in the South, where reliance on slave labor was the foundation of their economy." In the end, the part that frustrates me here and why I had to respond is not that Billy Bob Thornton's fictional character is saying stuff about renewable energy that isn't correct. It's that the lion's share, virtually all of the comments under this video clip, were believing what he was saying, despite no actual scientific evidence being put out there. Oh, he's just saying stuff with a Texan accent with a lot of conviction, and people are like, yeah, drill, baby, drill. But again, both windmills and solar panels are going to produce about 20 times more energy than they used to be made, which is just frankly ridiculous. And the idea that people are now, for the next like several years, gonna be reiterating that fact. Like, windmills won't offset the carbon footprint of making them. It's like, no, that is just so wrong. And of course, let me know what you think about all this, why people were so quick to believe him. Is it perhaps just the viewer base of the channel or what? And of course, feel free to like, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.